Hey, hello, welcome back to another video. So I'm finally bringing back What Am I Playing series, but of course a bit more chatty version of it than the past. So today we'll talk about my league start turned boss kill all around good build character thing. If you enjoyed this video and want to help me out, please subscribe, like and comment. Thanks. Right, so Skelly Mages. Are they worth it? Short answer, yes. Yes, they are. But let's talk about each stage of the build progression and how was it to league start this build when it was so popular. So leveling. Right. Unless you got lucky to buy or find the Dead Reckoning Jewel, which is the jewel that converts your Skellies into Skelly Mages. And of course, this is purely league start experience because on a second character you would have this jewel. You would either buy it, find it, whatever. And leveling would be slightly different. I mean, fairly slightly different. But I can't talk on that because this was my league starter. I leveled with melee skellies and all the other melee minions, basically. But you could also level with Absolution, which I did try. It worked fairly well. I mean, the Absolution minions were hitting really hard. But the thing was that you had to hit the targets also to not only spawn, but I think to trigger their attacks. So I wanted a kind of like a less interactive experience, I suppose. So I just stuck with melee skellies and the melee minions. They were working adequately. They got me through the leveling process, and labs included, all the way to the Merciless lab, within, I want to say 10-11 hours to maps. Now you would say, wait, 10-11 hours? That's slow AF. But you have to consider that I also stream, I chat with people, I faff about a lot, like so much. I don't even know where the time goes. Like, I just get distracted by things. So 10-11 hours for me, for league start, is pretty good. I want to say that was pretty good experience. They worked fairly well also killing Arch Nemesis while leveling. And yes, I did engage with the league mechanic. I always do on my first character, so that also adds some extra time. For the most part, I was rocking a 4-link, and yeah, they were doing well. All the minions, melee minions, were doing a good job also against the, leveling bosses. The Ascendancy nodes I went for in my first 3 labs were Mindless Aggression, Unnatural Strength, and Commander of Darkness. So that means I left Mistress of Sacrifice, which is like really pretty big defensive node, for Uber Lab. Now, I was thinking, Uber Lab, right? You get it in yellow maps, so I will get to yellow maps, and I will most likely encounter a trial, and we'll get to Uber Lab done fairly easy peasy, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, white maps were more or less the same as leveling because we were capping our resistances, and I was just playing melee skellies until I could get the money for the Dead Reckoning Jewel, which was shooting up in price fast. I mean, by the time I actually made the push to buy it, it was over 90 chaos. And 90 chaos, that was like, I want to say on Sunday? Maybe Monday, but I think on Sunday. It might have been on Sunday that I was like, oh man, I really want to start Skellies. I'm in tier 5 maps, like I finished most of the white maps, right? And so what happened was that I actually resorted to doing Chaos Recipe because I wasn't getting the currency drops. And our clear speed had slowed down, or our DPS had slowed down because I wasn't really like speccing into or like doing the necessary things to make the melee skellies work or the melee minions work. They were really fairly squishy. I wasn't like thinking about upping their life or anything because all I was thinking is like, well, we're gonna switch to the mage skellies. We're gonna get the cluster jewel that makes them immune to damage, and well, for a time, right? And so really, my effort went into farming all that necessary currency to get the Dead Reckoning. Now, eventually I did buy it, right? So yeah, eventually I did buy the Dead Reckoning jewel. So we switched into Mage Skellies. So we were doing, I had a 5-link initially, but then I found the Tabula. So we were doing a 6-link action with Mage Skellies. It worked better, but once I started getting into yellow maps, I noticed that my defenses are actually quite lacking, right? And my gear was super outdated because I spent a huge chunk of money on League Start, like 90 chaos on League Start is nothing to sniff at. I spent a huge chunk of money on League Start on just one item. That was the build enabling item, but I mean, it's not the only thing that makes this build work, right? So that really put a dent into my survivability, my quest to find survivability. So we were dying a bit, right? And to top it off, as I'm trying to always be, I don't play solo self-found, but I'm trying to be as self-sufficient as I can. So I was just trying to find the lab trial myself. And the first lab trial I actually found was, no joke, tier 10 map. Like, I had gone through all the tiers until I was about to get into red maps. And thank God. I mean, I could have bought the trial, right? Or I could have bought the offering, I mean. But where's the fun in that, right? So, tier 10 maps, I finally do Uberlab. We're in yellow maps. Finally do Uberlab, and that helps, but it's not enough. But because I'm cheap, I'm a cheapskate, and I actually don't have currency, I just keep chugging along with the same setup until we get to red maps. Right, so I had kind of hit the wall of being kind of squishy and not having enough DPS, so I had to get. So at this point, I got the Fleshcrafter chest piece and I 5-linked it, which we're gonna talk about the 5-link after, and just some Weak Sense Entrapment gloves to get a double curse setup. So the Sniper's Mark, which I'm basically using all the time, helps with clear, and it's really good for single target also. And the other curse I'm using is Punishment, which is, I feel like I've been underestimating how good it is on actually any build. Like, it's such a good curse. I don't know how I overlooked it before, because it could be useful on other builds as well, but it's just so good. Anyways. So yeah, red maps, I had kind of hit the wall, and then I did these upgrades, but it still actually didn't feel enough. And so by the time I got to tier 14s, I just had to make upgrades again because I was just not having a good time. So yeah. I got a +1 skill gems wand, got a +2 minion levels helm to get my, basically that helped me got the 4th Spectre. And I got a medium cluster jewel with Blessed Rebirth on it. Now, that helped me greatly, right? It makes your minions first time summoned for 4 seconds immune to damage. So, not only can't they die, but they can't be stunned and interrupted from casting, because I felt like that was happening a lot before. Like, they weren't, even if they were, I had all the skellies out, that kind of felt like they were getting stunned and interrupted because they're fairly squishy. They don't have that much life. So that helped a lot. And then the biggest difference maker is which I'm, if you play this build and you're doing League Start or you're doing it on low budget, like, this is one of the things you should invest in, which is Val Summon Skellies. It makes such a huge difference. It, like, any monster you think, oh, this is taking a little bit long, pop that on. It is so fast you get the Val Skellies. So fast you get them. Like, the amount of souls necessary to summon Val Skellies is so little. Like, it's so few. So few? Little? So few, right? So that made a huge difference. 100%. Please get that. If you're thinking, the damage is a bit like lacking or something for single target, or I'm not killing these chunky arch nemesis very fast, boom, Val Skellies. solved most of my problems with a single target, like my complaints with single target. It's great. Now, let's talk about Endgame. So 5 link is actually perfectly fine for most Endgame bosses. Like, I say most because I haven't done Uber Elder yet, which I don't think I will have problems with. I've only done the story version of the new bosses, and I haven't done Uber Ziri, I haven't done the Feared, right? That's still something to farm for. But all the, like, Awakener, Maven, with 5 link is plenty. It's insane how far 5 link on this build takes, and I see why this build is so meta, so it scales up pretty well into endgame, so I will probably keep... So yeah, I'll keep investing into this build, I'll keep scaling it up, and I'll probably do a follow-up video to see how well I've managed that. One big con of this build, though, is managing to keep your permanent minions alive, because in boss fights like Cyrus, it happened in the same boss fight I did. I did it deathless, but my Animate Guardian didn't survive because you want to keep them alive, so maybe you put Meat Shield on them and they just stick to you like glue. So you accidentally run in a storm, he also runs in a storm, he lemmings with you, so that is one thing that is quite annoying, because I have had to re-gear him several times so far, and it's not very expensive. Things like 10 chaos per death, but it's still annoying buying all these uniques. So that's my biggest con for this build. So now that we've gotten like the big picture things out of the way, let's review my whole setup. So I'm using quite a few auras. One of them is Generosity, Zealot 3, then we have Defiance Banner, Determination, Tempest Shield, and Aspect of Spider. So you could probably make different choices here. I opted, instead of getting an extra Skelly in my amulet, I opted for Ashes of the Stars. So this is a new amulet. It's so versatile. I feel like getting alternate quality gems with this is so juicy. There's already been pretty sick combos out there. So Ashes of Stars, what it let me was basically getting Aspect in. And I love Aspect of Spider because it not only does it give me defensive and but also, well, not only offensive but also defensive options, right? It slows down enemies and it makes them take increased damage, which is great against my minions. I did get this upgrade because I dropped it myself from the boss the first time I killed Eater of Worlds boss. I equipped this before I went to fight Maven and Awakener, and it really worked the charm. So yeah, really recommend this amulet, really great. Again, you could spec into this build in many different ways. I mean, you could get that extra Skelly in the amulet, right? And for Spectres, I have 2 Carnage Chieftains, 1 Host Chieftain. So Carnage Chieftains give me endurance, frenzy charges. Host Chieftain gives me power charges and my minions, obviously. And Arena Master basically gives you a buff that every 12 seconds, for 4 seconds, you get a damage, cast speed, movement speed, and so on and so forth, right? But it is quite hard to get this Arena Master, as you can only get it in Drox maps, and Drox is not so common anymore. Because, you know, it's a random drop map, just like other Guardian maps nowadays. I got it fairly well into farming tier 16s already. And, but yeah, it's okay. You can probably find somebody who has this minion and then yoink it from their hideout from Desecrate. It's not too bad, but yeah. So that's my setup. My Animate Guardian pretty much has pretty cheap gear. As you can see, it has Dying Breath, he has Victorious Flight, I think, boots. What else does he have? He has Learcast, Ambush Charge, yeah, Victorious boots, and Southbound gloves. So yeah, he's just buffing me a little bit. Nothing super amazing. This character is not yet blocked on block. Capped on block. I'm missing a little bit, right? I'm missing a little bit here, but I mean, I will get alt quality bone offering and alt quality tempest shield to help me with that, right? So yeah, here's the skill tree. Nothing super special, just your normal stuff. I have gone for some reduced mana cost of skills because just to make it easier with the little mana that I have, just to make it a little bit easier to get my bone offering to proc from my wand. But other than that, it's just your standard skill tree. We'll be going for some life nodes next if I level up that far. Pretty crangled cluster jewels. So you know, this character doesn't have that much invested, apart from those few expensive pieces at the beginning, because the cluster jewels were fairly expensive when I bought them. And this fleshcrafter I made myself, this one I dropped, this one I bought and double crafted myself, so this one I dropped myself. This +1 minion skill gem wand I bought and crafted the trigger craft myself, so it's really not that bad. Like these guys I dropped myself as well, so it's not really that bad. So overall, I think to scale into some bossing is really not that expensive overall. I think I could probably kill Uber Elder, I could probably kill the new bosses with fairly easy mods on a 5-link with the same setup with not big problems. So if you play this build now, it will be probably cheaper to set up and it will work great. The mapping is smooth, I really recommend it. As a league start, I kind of hated it, actually, because of how high in demand all those things were and how high in price they were. Kind of hated it. So yeah, but overall, this build gets Mars stamp of approval. Yay, let's celebrate. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you got this far, please let me know what was your league starter and how well it performed. Did you get to endgame? Did you just use it for farming currency? Yeah. Thanks for watching and bye. Bye. Bye.